So I am Eostar and I did 7 days in Wisconsin, Amherst, Wisconsin with Dale, supported by Dale. And I was very nervous when I came to this because I wasn't sure if I was going to stay in for 7 days. I was nervous. I didn't even tell it to very many people. I told it to a few people, but I'm a little nervous to say 7 days because what if I need to leave on day 4 or something. But to my surprise, it wasn't very challenging. It was a little challenging. So my first day, day and night, I slept a lot, so that made it easy. So it was food and sleep, and Dale makes some really delicious food. So then I was just enjoying the stillness in between, and then I started being more awake during the day, and I started noticing this is daytime, this is nighttime, because I would wake in the morning and I felt energized, whereas in the evening I started getting sleepy and just slept through the night. And I was amazed at that because I wasn't sure if I was going to be awake at night and sleep by day or how it was going to turn out. But amazingly, there's some kind of internal clock that seemed to have worked the whole time in alignment with the daytime and the nighttime, even though there was no light, which is amazing in itself to experience. And initially I just had a lot of thoughts. My busy mind was circling around this, circling around that, and I thought, okay, well, I already rummaged through that issue. Let's put that aside because there's no solution to that. Okay, here's this other issue. I already circled around that 100 million times. I don't have a solution to that either. But none of these issues were huge. They were more just things my mind caught on and circled around. And then I realized that I could just spend 7 days thinking, and I was probably not going to get anything out of that. So that's when I got serious about my breathwork practice and my yoga practice. Well, actually, I started those on day 2, but on day 3 and 4, like subsequently, I started doing it more powerfully and religiously, like, okay, let's get through this yoga sequence here, let's get through this whole breathwork sequence here, and then I started making the breathwork longer and more powerful as I was also getting stronger, and then the breathwork really allowed me to ease my busy mind, the busyness of the mind, and I really enjoyed the airy tensions at the end of each cycle, and that's when I noticed what I identified as the DMT, and it may or may not be, but most likely yes, where I would get flooded by this glowing light. And I'm pointing here because it seemed to have been emanating from the third eye and then just like diffusing, and then it was happening, and then it stopped. And toward the end I was definitely buzzing as well, like my whole body was just like buzzing. So those breathwork exercises really helped me, and then also guidance from Dale was very helpful. because he came in and he said, well, you really need to, I don't think he used the word need to, but he called my attention to the importance of meditation, which has always been a challenge for me in my life. I think I would probably be diagnosed as ADD, but I don't know. Never been diagnosed, but I think our world is ADD. Our phones, the constant influx of information and news, and call this, call that, write an email, and so just that ADD or ADHD mindset that was my reality before this retreat. I really needed to bring it to a focus and start meditating. And so, but before the retreat, it was really challenging. So I was more engaging in practices like breath work or sound bath or sound healing, or doing asana practice, yoga practice, because I just found it very difficult to slow my mind. So here in the dark, that became a possibility to slow down the mind and really focus in on the third eye. And then Dale guided me to focus on the buzzing in the ear, which I have a certain ringing in the ear pretty loud, and I just always told myself, okay, focus on the ringing, focus on focus on the third eye. And then I just focused on the third eye and then the ringing, and just focus. And then as I kept doing that, I realized that is my saving grace. Because if I just keep thinking, it's just gonna be really hard to get through the 7 days. So I told myself that I'm going to move between meditation, yoga asana practice, and breath work. And that's what I was doing. So I just kept doing the yoga asana, breath work, and the meditation. I meditated in this position, and I meditated in the couch, and I meditated sometimes when I was tired. I was laying down and doing shorter breath work or yoga asana in between, and that made it so that it was not only less challenging, but it started feeling like, okay, now it's really happening, where my thoughts are finally slowing down, and at times they're not even there. So I came up with this metaphor of the Swiss cheese. I don't know why that came to me, but as a visual, it came to me as a way to show or describe. Yes, your son. Okay, sit down. To describe.
She wants to go for a walk. That's all.
So the metaphor of the Swiss cheese, the bubbles in the Swiss cheese as it's fermenting create those holes, and I started seeing my life as the cheese, and the bubbles in it, the cessation of thought, because in those moments of meditation, I was really able to actually unplug from the matrix, from this, what we call life, or 3D or earth, and just creating more and more spaciousness, more space between the thoughts. And I thought, oh, okay, that's what Eckhart Tolle teaches, that's what all these other spiritual teachers and gurus teach, and I started doing that. So I feel like, in conclusion, this was a deep practice in meditation, and I was expecting more like visuals and visuals and DMT like stuff, and I did see some visuals, and it was interesting when the visuals came, but more than anything else, for me this was a very deep and strong course in meditation, and I'm very grateful for that, because I just remembered my past as a yogi. Like, I practiced so much yoga asana and breath work, but the meditation was always the weak point, and now I feel like I really want to get back into my yoga practice, like all of the yoga practice, the asana, the breath work, and the meditation, and just really allow myself to find that spaciousness, those bubbles in the Swiss cheese, that spaciousness in life, the space between the thoughts, and just let everything slow down, let everything mellow out, and conduct my life from that place.
Eostar, what are your thoughts of how you're going to integrate this into your life? So what aspects do you see that you can bring into your life after doing this? I mean,
very good question. At times I thought, wow, I just don't even know how I'm gonna go back to the so-called 3D reality. Like, how am I gonna even go back to the busyness and the stress? Like, I just don't want to. But again, I think the takeaway for me is to create spaciousness between the thoughts, create spaciousness between the tasks. Take a deep breath, focus on the third eye and then ringing in my ear. And then go on to the next.
so if you were to just take a pause in that spaciousness of the Swiss cheese, what are the things that you would do now differently when you do ceremonies with people? Do you think you'll teach different aspects that you might not have realized? Do you think you'll be able to go deeper in your ceremonies with those pauses?
Those are the things I have yet to see. So that's another thing. Just not project too much into the future, not project too much into the past. I don't even know what's going to unfold from here. I don't even know how I'm going to integrate this. I don't even want to think about it right now. I'm just sitting here by the lake, looking at these trees blossoming, flowers turning into leaves, and I'd rather just be here.
So what was your most challenging thing? I think you kind of mentioned it. If you were to say to somebody, if you're coming into the dark, what things would you need to prepare for? What tools do you need to be in the dark? What's going forward helping people in the dark? What would be some of the aspects that would be beneficial for people thinking about going into the dark?
Well, it's a dopamine deprivation, except the food. But what I found is I really didn't need to eat much, and I couldn't even eat much. Like, it seemed like my digestion slowed down, and all I wanted was that fruit smoothie. The fruit smoothie was great. And how to prepare? I think that yoga practice, yoga asana practice, breathwork practice, meditation practice are very helpful. Anything else? I would say that if somebody can practice building an inner sanctuary in their mind where you can go to in case maybe negativity arises or anxious thoughts or negative images arise. Just go to your inner sanctuary. And I have a place that I go to in my homeland, very close to where I was born in Hungary. This beautiful lake, a little bit similar but different type of vegetation and mountainous. And I just go there because I just feel really at home there, maybe because it's my earliest memory of the beauty of nature. I just go there and I look at the details on the path and the views, and then all those negative thoughts dissipate. So I think having a place like that or an inner sanctuary that you've built up yourself in your mind can be very helpful.
So did you feel safe in the dark or claustrophobic, or what was the feeling when you went into darkness? Did you have discomfort or discomfort initially?
I think it was really helpful to go right to sleep, because when I woke up after the first nights of sleep in the dark, it was not claustrophobic. I didn't have fear. I was feeling safe. I like the location. It's kind of outside of town, and the room is kind of dug into the earth, so it's almost like being kept by the womb of the earth. And very warm room, very soft, cushiony, and clear. It felt like it was very clear of interference, and I didn't feel claustrophobic. I felt very safe and held.
So if you were to compare doing your ceremonies to doing the dark room, what are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two aspects of these spiritual experiences?
Yeah, so ceremonies meaning ayahuasca, psilocybin. A lot of people compare these practices. In both cases, there's that exploration of the inner world. And for me, I was just really grateful that I've done a lot of ayahuasca and psilocybin ceremonies and practice on my own, because I felt like the field was pretty clear. It seemed like I've cleared a lot already, and the issues I found myself kind of chewing on were not that big. That they were definitely issues, but not that big. So I think, having cleared. Now, the question was about how do they compare. For some people, it's more of a visual journey in the dark room. For me, there were some visuals, but not particularly strong visuals. And both are an inner journey that are somewhat challenging, because you have to kind of sit with yourself. You just can't run away. So I think both practices teach us how to align the mind with a higher vibrational frequency, because you kind of have to, when you've suffered enough having bad visions or bad thoughts or painful thoughts, you just find a way to, okay, I'm just gonna change my mind. I'm just gonna move my mind to my inner sanctuary, or I'm gonna set my mind onto something else, or onto the nothingness, onto the focus, and just allow myself to be free. So I think ultimately both practices are deep yogic practices that teach us liberation. Liberation from the mind, liberation from the matrix, liberation to be who we want to be, to feel, think more consciously.